Hey, welcome back to the channel. So glad you guys came back to join me. Dan, entrepreneur, trying to help people grow from $500 a month up to $1 million in net sales for the year. So basically today we're going to be talking about give yourself permission to fail and your employees. So why would I say that? Well, here's the thing. If you're not failing, you're stagnant. You're not going anywhere. You're letting fear take, right? So, we go back to my whole quilting example. If you just sit there and look at it and go, I can't do this because I'm scared I'm going to fail. Well, what are you really succeeding at then? Take the chance. Go ahead and take that leap because you just never know where it's going to take you. And listen, I'm speaking from experience here. It took me a year to get this YouTube channel going because I was like, man, I'm Gen X. We don't do these things. I don't really watch a lot of YouTube unless I'm doom scrolling and bored. I have like maybe 5 or 6 channels I might look at every now and then. But here I am. I got out of my own way and started being stagnant and stopped failing because I gave my permission to fail. If you get what I'm trying to say. Now let's look at this from an employee standpoint. Let them have the ability to fail. I did this in my own company. We had 2 offices. I tell people all the time, I give you permission to fail. And what does that look like? And what does it look like if you don't? I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like complacency. None of your people want to take any chances because they're scared to death they're going to mess up. They want to be safe. Well, I didn't want my employees to be safe. I wanted them to take risk. I wanted them to look at things. How could you do things better? Let me give you a prime example. So Heather started out, it was funny. Heather wanted to come work for a Christian company, and I really didn't have a spot for her. And my period of time was like, hey, just interview her. I'm like, I don't know what to do with her. So we interviewed her, and I was like, she's great, but I don't have a job for her in the place. And to be honest with you, I made her a ridiculously low offer, thinking that she would just go away, and she took it. I was like, all right. Well, long story short, she became our accounts receivable, accounts payables person, killed it. We gave her a huge increase. She was amazing. And she had came to us and said, we have all these people. I think our daily accounts receivable was running about 67 days past due. Industry standard at the time was around 60 days. So we were right there. So she came to me and said, hey, what about, I've got this idea. Because anytime I call as accounts receivable, people are like, I'm not calling them back because I owe them money or something, right? So let me review the account with them, make sure they're happy. And then, hey, let's get them to give us their ACH or credit card so that we're not just getting checks in the mail, but we're getting paid on time. So it was a great idea. And long story short, she did it. We had our accounts receivables at 28 days. It was amazing. But it's because I gave them permission to fail. Like, I would rather have that than to sit there and be like, I'm not going to do anything outside my job requirement. I'm not coming up with any fresh ideas because I'm scared to death that I'm going to do something and then I'm going to get ridiculed for it or they're going to punish me. But instead, I gave all my employees permission to fail. And that was such a huge thing. And let's look at this other scenario. So I'm a big golfer, right? So I come up on a par 5. Hit the drive about 275. It was a great drive for me. I know some of you long ball hitters out there, 330, 315. I'm getting old. I'm 275. So I'm 236 yards out. Now, mind you, it's a par 5. It's going downhill, so it's probably paying like 225. There's water in front to a small green. And I'm going, man, this is just on the edge of my 3-wood. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. So I took the risk. I went for it. Bam! Right in them. But I did get up and down for par. All right? So most people there, I bet you I've left, put in comments what you would have done. But I'm assuming people are going, you should have laid up and then you could have got up and down for birdie. That's a true story. But it was a risk I was willing to take, right? So if I take this other scenario to where scenario number 2 is, it's a par 5. Hit a great drive again, probably about 265. And then I hit a great 3-wood about 250 onto the green. And then I 3-putt for par. Just feel that for a moment if you're a golfer. You all know that frustration. It's the worst thing is a 3-putt, but the 3-putt when you're on a 2 on a par 5 is just brutal. You feel like you failed. But both scenarios depends on how you look at it. People are going to say on that par 5, I should have just laid up and tried to make birdie. It's a great point. I very could have. But what happens if I got on had an eagle putt? And I'm very comfortable in my short game. So I knew probably my worst case scenario was going to be bogey. But for a chance to get on it and have an eagle putt, it was worth the risk. So when you're in your businesses, you have to evaluate and see whether it's worth taking or not, or if you want to hold back and lay up and play it safe. I've always been a risk taker. Now they're calculated risks. There's nothing that's going to be a detriment. I'm not taking a risk where I'm taking out $1 million loan. If it doesn't work, I'm going to shut my whole company. So I think there's risks you got to take. But I think even in our own lives, we let other people's ideas, situations get in the way of us moving forward in our own life. One of the things that my wife and I say is get rid of comparable reality. Is that when you go and you look and go, well, man, this guy's a better dad than I am. This guy has a better business I am, nicer car, nicer house. Stop comparing. Because then you're like, well, if I could be, I get a better father like Paul, if I could be, a better businessman like George, if I could have a nicer house like Fred. Well, dude, you just created something that doesn't exist. You took three people's best attributes and put them all together. None of us are liking that. We just want to go ahead and succeed in trying and taking those, like I said in the first video, don't be a dry boat sitter. Let's get out. Like, it'd be curious, you took 30 days and you said, all right, I'm going to give myself permission to, what would that look? A lot of you are just like terrified, if you're just like widget. Okay, well, there's lots of scenarios that we can look at and go, what about if they do? What happens then? Then what are you going to do, right? There's a whole nother problem comes on. Well, what about, you have 5 widgets to sell and you could sell 10 of them? Well, that's a whole different problem. But if you just sit there and become stagnant, right? You're just a pond, nasty moss growing everywhere. And it's just, no one wants to go through that. But if you get some water running through there, man, waters can cut through mountains, right? So you might be moving a mountain. You don't know until you try. What happens if you give your employees permission to fail? Man, what new of generating money in your company could they come up with? But if you're not giving them permission to fail, then they're just going to become stagnant. They're going to come in and punch a clock 9 to 5 and they're going to leave and they're not going to care. But also just think about this, man. Employee comes with a great idea, tries money in the company. How do you think that employee feels? Maybe that employee that you have. Oh, this is a great example. So my secretary ended up becoming my director over my company because I knew what she had done in her past and I also knew her potential. Because, man, I'm like, I'll teach you telecom. My largest client was like, you're nuts, Crable. What are you doing? She has no telecom experience. I'm like, doesn't matter. I know her skill set. I know. So I told her, don't worry about it, right? I'll teach you telecom. I just need you to manage the people. And she did. What did I do? I gave her permission. So get out there and let's fail a little bit today. Hey, till next time, hit that like, subscribe button, leave a comment, and let's go, baby.